All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about the Gaza Peace Summit. But, this story isn't just about the ceasefire agreement. Oh, no. It's about the incredible diplomatic drama that unfolded. We're talking unexpected speeches, some very deliberate no-shows, and a reaction that, well, it just went viral. So let's start with the moment everyone was talking about. You've probably seen the picture. It's the look on Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's face. Someone online called it a mix of surprise and disbelief. And honestly, that just nails it. This one look, it basically became the symbol of the entire summit. And you have to ask, right? What on earth could make a world leader look like that in the middle of a global peace summit? I mean, that's the big question we're going to unpack here. Okay, so to figure this out, we need to zero in on one thing. Who was speaking at that precise moment? Because the answer to that, well, it unlocks this whole story. It was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif. And get this, he wasn't even supposed to be speaking. It wasn't on the schedule at all. It was totally impromptu. Donald Trump was giving his speech, and he just paused, turned to Sharif, and invited him up to the podium right then and there. And this is what caused that reaction. Sharif gets up there and just launches into this over-the-top praise for Trump. He wasn't just thanking him for the Gaza deal. He announced he was nominating Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. He called him genuinely a man of peace. Wow, you can just imagine the collective gasp in that room. But here's the twist. This Nobel nomination, it wasn't really about Gaza. Sharif tied it to something else entirely. A really, really controversial event. And this is where the story gets a whole lot more complex. And this slide just lays out the core of the conflict perfectly. You've got Pakistan's side claiming Trump stopped a war with India back in May, something called Operation Sindoor. Then you have India's position, which is a hard no, a total public denial that the U.S. ever intervened. So think about it. Sharif just used this huge international stage to push a story that India, its nuclear-armed neighbor, says is completely false. So you've got this massive claim being made in front of the whole world. What does India do? How do they respond? Well, their strategy was simple. Keep their distance. So here's what they did. Prime Minister Modi was invited, but he didn't go. Instead, he sent a deputy, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Kirti Singh. Now, Modi did post on X, welcoming the ceasefire and giving a nod to Trump's sincere efforts. But him not actually being in that room, that sent a very, very clear message. But not everyone thought this was the right call. A former diplomat, Shashi Tharoor, he came out and questioned it. He was basically asking, is this a smart strategic move, or did we just miss a huge opportunity? His point was that with all these world leaders in one place, India's voice might get lost. He even called the whole thing puzzling, especially with so much changing in the region. This whole thing, the surprise speech, the bold claims, the deliberate absence, it's just a perfect example of how much the personalities of these leaders are now steering global politics. And that brings us to this idea of a cult of personality. It's basically when a leader's public image becomes this larger-than-life, almost godlike thing, shaped by media and propaganda. It's a really useful lens to look through when you're trying to make sense of the powerful personality-first dynamics we saw playing out at this summit. And Trump, he handled this whole tense situation with a classic balancing act. First, he heaps all this praise on Pakistan. He says Sharif's words were beautiful, calls their army chief his favorite field marshal. But then, almost in the next breath, he pivots. He calls India a great country and Modi a good friend who's done a fantastic job. He was absolutely trying to play both sides. So the big question is, what do all these individual moves and personality clashes actually tell us about what each country is trying to achieve on the world stage? Okay, so let's break it down. When you look at the whole picture, you see three totally different game plans. Pakistan went all in on public praise, right? Using that Nobel nomination to try and score points and push their story. The US was stuck in the middle, doing this delicate dance, taking the praise from Pakistan, but also making sure to say nice things about its powerful ally, India. And India, they chose to stay out of it, strategic distance, sending a message by simply not getting involved in the drama. So what's the big takeaway here? It's actually pretty simple, but it's huge. Diplomacy today, it isn't just about what happens in quiet backroom meetings anymore. It's become a performance. Public opinion, personal friendships, and viral moments, These things are now major forces shaping what happens on the world stage. And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. In this age of viral diplomacy, where a single look can be seen by millions in seconds, is a leader's personality now their single most important tool in foreign policy? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.